There is a soul that carries a deep love for you. Yet this person has made a conscious choice to stay far away. Before your mind starts racing and trying to explain everything, pause for a moment. Breathe slowly. Let the noise settle. Because what is reaching you right now is not something ordinary. This moment, these words, and this timing are not random. It feels like something deeper is guiding it. It feels like a quiet confirmation of something your heart has already sensed. There is no accident in this. Nothing here is without meaning. Sometimes life reveals its hidden truths, but only when you slow down enough to notice. Your inner self already knows what is real. There is someone in your life, or someone who used to be very close, who carries a deep and complicated devotion toward you. They feel something intense, something they do not fully understand, a longing that stays no matter how much distance they try to create. Do not mistake their silence for lack of care. Their quietness is full of emotions they cannot express. As their feelings grow stronger, their need to step back grows too. Loving you feels beautiful to them, but at the same time it feels overwhelming. It is both a gift and a challenge they do not know how to handle. This is something their heart understands, even if their actions try to hide it. They keep their distance because you reached them in a deep way. You touched something inside them that had been hidden for a long time. You awakened emotions they had buried under years of protection. You became more than just a person to them. You became a mirror, a reflection of their desires, their fears, and the parts of themselves they never faced. They see their hopes in you. They also see their wounds. They have never felt something this strong before. It feels real, powerful, and difficult to control. Being around you made them feel open in a way they were not used to, and that openness scares them. You were not part of their plan. You came into their life unexpectedly and changed everything. They did not expect the connection, the comfort, or the intensity. They did not expect that your absence would feel so heavy. So they step back. Not because they do not care, but because they are afraid of how much they care. You became someone whose presence affects them deeply. Your words matter more than they are ready to admit. To them, loving you feels like stepping into something unknown without knowing if it is safe. Instead of taking that step, they freeze. They hold themselves back. Their distance is not rejection. It is fear. Deep down, they feel like you deserve someone better. Someone more stable, more healed, more certain. They replay moments in their mind, worrying that their flaws could hurt something that feels pure. They carry a quiet belief that they are not ready. Their silence becomes a shield, a way to protect both you and themselves. They feel the connection, even without words. It stays in the background of everything they do. No distraction fully replaces it, no distance removes it. They try to move on, but something always brings them back to you in their thoughts. Their mind resists, but their heart does not let go. They are testing themselves, trying to become stronger, trying to feel complete on their own before standing beside you. But in quiet moments, especially at night, the truth becomes louder. They think about what was left unsaid. They imagine conversations that never happened. They wonder what would happen if they reached out. They write messages and then delete them. They think of calling, but stop themselves. They wait for courage that does not come easily. Every time they come close, fear stops them. They wonder if it is already too late, if you have moved on, if the space between you has become too wide to cross. But even with that fear, they cannot stop hoping. They wonder if you still feel the same connection, if you still think of them in quiet moments, if something inside you still recognizes them. There are times when your memory appears in their mind suddenly, without reason. In those moments, they feel like you might be thinking of them too. They are afraid of losing you completely. And yet, they are the ones creating the distance. It is a contradiction they live with every day. They are running from something they deeply want, staying silent about something they feel strongly, denying themselves a connection that could change them. If they seem distant or cold, understand that it is not the truth of what they feel. It is a defense, a way they learned to protect themselves. At some point in their life, they learned that being open leads to pain, that depending on someone can lead to disappointment, that loving deeply can lead to loss. So they built walls, strong walls, and somehow, without trying, you found a way through them. That is why they step back. That is why they disappear at times. They try to rebuild those walls, but it does not work the same anymore, because their heart keeps returning to you. No matter how much their mind tries to stay in control, something inside them keeps waiting for a moment that feels safe enough. They tell themselves they need more time, more growth, more healing. They believe they must become better before coming back. But time keeps passing, and instead of making things easier, it makes everything heavier. The silence grows. The distance grows. The pressure grows. They imagine coming back to you with confidence, speaking clearly, without fear, saying everything they could not say before. They picture that moment again and again. But they are still learning how to face what they feel. And deep inside, they know something important. There is no perfect time for something this real. One day, the weight of staying away will become stronger than the fear of coming closer. And when that moment comes, they will not return as a perfect person. They will return as someone who finally chooses honesty over fear. But life does not wait for perfect courage. Love does not stop until someone is fully healed. There are moments when people must move, even if they are not ready. There are moments when staying still becomes more painful than taking a risk. They are slowly beginning to understand this truth. Waiting for everything to feel perfect has only caused more loss. They stand in the middle of their own emotions, wanting to move forward, but something inside keeps holding them back. One part of them wants to come closer to you. Another part pulls them away. Fear speaks loudly, but so does their heart. And between these two voices, they feel stuck. They try to calm themselves. They try to make sense of everything inside their mind. In quiet moments, they ask themselves what is real and what is fear. They begin to notice that fear has been making too many choices for them. They wonder if you have changed during this time. They wonder if you have grown stronger without them. They wonder if your heart has learned to let go. These thoughts do not leave them in peace. Instead, they stay with them like a heavy feeling they cannot remove. The idea of losing you completely hurts them in ways they cannot explain. But even more painful is the thought that they may have already lost their chance by waiting too long. Still, under all confusion, one truth remains. Their feelings for you never stopped. They did not fade. They did not disappear. They stayed, even in silence. The distance between you was never because the feeling became weak. It was because the feeling became too strong to understand. It overwhelmed them. It made them question themselves. It made them step back instead of stepping forward. They are not gone from your story. They are still inside it, even if unseen. They are trying to gather strength in their own way. Piece by piece, they are rebuilding themselves. There is a quiet battle happening inside them every day. Fear on one side, love on the other. And neither side fully wins. They are starting to realize something important. Silence does not protect love. Silence slowly weakens it. It creates distance not only between two people, but inside the heart as well. There will come a moment when they can no longer hold back. It may not be planned. It may not be perfect. It may come suddenly when emotion becomes stronger than control. In that moment, everything they held inside will begin to break open. The words they never said will finally rise. The truth they avoided will finally come out. And when that happens, staying away will no longer feel possible. They are slowly moving toward that moment, even if they do not fully understand it yet. Something inside them is shifting. Something deep is changing shape. They are not the same person they were before they met you. That connection changed them. It showed them emotions they had hidden for years. It made them feel seen in a way they had never experienced. Now they are left with thoughts they cannot escape. Thoughts about you. Thoughts about what could have been. Thoughts about what still might be possible. At times, they feel calm. At other times, they feel completely lost. But even in confusion, your presence remains in their mind. Distance has forced them to face themselves. Without distractions, without excuses, they are seeing their own emotions clearly. And that is not easy for them. They begin to understand that running away never truly solved anything. It only delayed what was already there. Being without you has become a mirror for them. It reflects everything they avoided. It shows them their fears, their patterns, and their emotional wounds. At first, they resisted this truth. They tried to ignore it. They tried to distract themselves. But the feelings kept returning. Slowly, they started turning inward instead of outward. They started questioning themselves more honestly. They started noticing how often fear controlled their decisions. They used to believe distance was strength. They used to think shutting down emotions meant control. But now they see it differently. They understand that shutting down feelings is not strength. It is avoidance. It is protection that slowly turns into isolation. And isolation has not brought them peace. It has brought emptiness. In their memories, you still feel real. Your presence still feels alive in their thoughts. They remember how safe they felt with you, even in silence. You made them feel something they could not pretend around. That is why they stepped back. Not because it was wrong, but because it was too real for them to handle at the time. They were not afraid of you. They were afraid of how deeply they cared. They were afraid of being seen too clearly. Afraid that if you looked closely enough, you might see their imperfections. But what they are slowly realizing is that you never asked them to be perfect. You never demanded perfection. You only wanted truth. You only wanted presence. You only wanted real connection. And that realization now stays with them every day. Each morning feels heavier. Each night feels longer. Thoughts of you return again and again, no matter how much they try to move away from them. They are beginning to understand that love like this does not appear often. It is not something that can easily be replaced or forgotten. The more they try to ignore it, the more clearly they feel it. They are starting to see that distance is not protecting anything. It is slowly hurting what they care about the most. Inside their mind, something is changing. Fear is becoming weaker. Awareness is becoming stronger. They feel a quiet pressure growing inside them, a sense that they can no longer stay in the same place emotionally. Every avoided message, every unfinished thought, every silent moment is now becoming heavier than honesty itself. They begin to replay everything: conversations, moments, small details they once ignored. They see now what they could not see before. They understand how deeply you affected them, and they understand how deeply they affected themselves by walking away from it. At times, they imagine reaching out. They imagine what would happen if they finally spoke honestly. That thought brings both comfort and fear at the same time. They wonder if there is still space for them in your world. They wonder if too much time has passed. They wonder if silence has already written the ending. But even with these fears, something inside them refuses to fully let go. They are starting to realize that avoiding you is also avoiding themselves. Every step back from you is also a step away from their own truth. They feel tired of questions that have no answers, tired of living in uncertainty, tired of carrying feelings they cannot express. In quiet moments, they think about everything they never said. They think about everything they wish they had done differently. They think about what honesty could have changed. Sometimes they feel close to understanding themselves. Sometimes they feel completely lost again. But through all of it, your presence remains constant in their mind. They notice that even when they try to move on, something always brings them back emotionally. A memory, a feeling, a moment they cannot erase. And slowly, they begin to accept something they once avoided. This connection is not disappearing. It is not fading. It is not something they can simply ignore until it goes away. It is something deeper than that. Something that stays, even in silence. Something that changes them from within. They do not know yet how this story will continue, but they are beginning to understand that silence cannot last forever. At some point, truth will ask to be spoken. And when that moment comes, fear will no longer be enough to hold them back. They are still in the middle of their inner change, still learning, still growing, still facing parts of themselves they once avoided. But one thing is becoming clearer inside them. Staying away is no longer easier than coming closer. And running from love is no longer giving them peace. So they remain in this in-between space, slowly moving, slowly changing, slowly preparing for a truth they can no longer avoid. Because what they feel for you is not temporary. It is not a passing thought. It is something that has taken root deeply inside them. And even in silence, it continues to live, continue to grow, and continue to call them back toward honesty, toward courage, and toward what they once feared the most, but now cannot fully leave behind.